everyone and welcome back to another episode of Rift News, the show that lets people catch up with League after they are done with their finals. The last time we covered the news was when Pike's first teaser was released, and since then a lot has happened. So why don't we sum up everything that came out up until this point? First of all, let's start with something I didn't cover last time. If you head over to Riot's merch store, you may notice that Mechs vs Minions is back, at least in the US. Although in EU it was there the whole time. While EU is still on its second wave of this board game, US was sold out and the game wasn't available up until now. They now launched its third wave, so get it while it's there. If you have anywhere between 1 and 3 other friends, this is a really fun and relatively simple game. I only managed to get halfway through the game though, because quite frankly I don't have friends. But now let's hop onto PBE. So, Pike was released to the public hands of the test realms. This means that it is no surprise that Vendrell already managed to abuse and break the champion completely. Pike is an AD assassin support. He is the first of his kind, and to me he seems to be pushing the alternative support idea. An idea Riot had in mind pretty much since the rework of support items. It seems that Riot is trying to show people that any champion can be a support. And with items such as the Relic Shield, this can easily be the case. You don't have to heal and protect your AD carry to be effective. You can also kill the enemy to put them behind, which puts your allies ahead. Last time this form of supporting was pushed forward was with the Mordekaiser rework. He too is a non-traditional support that works pretty well. I wonder if Pike manages to show people that even Zed can be an effective support in the end. Anyway, Pike offers really good crowd control combined with decent early game burst. Up until the late game, he can take down anyone below 50% health, but when he reaches late game, he can easily burst down squishies from full health. Pike also has a grab with a Lollipop Effect, and we all know how much players love those, especially on grabs. If you're not sure what that is, a Lollipop Effect is when your spell has an additional circle at the end of its range. For example, let's say I fire a missile in a line. Normally its hitbox would be a straight line. But if it has a Lollipop Effect, if you miss the skill shot, at its end it will check in a circle around it for targets. And if there is a target, it will connect. That's why sometimes you can't believe that Thresh's hooks and Blitzcrank's grabs manage to connect. It's because you stood in the circle at the very end of that skill shot. It also means that you can do something like this with Pike. Maybe a little bit... No, actually, let's see. This should grab it. Oh, this will get people so mad. This will just make people so mad. Watch again. Watch. Totally miss. Nah. But if I do this and I go next to the target, watch. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. But if I do the same thing. I should also mention that after our Reddit post and a video on Pike's mask, Riot did indeed change the mask to a more reasonable state. Not only is it now decently accurate to his character, but it is also recognizable in-game. I think this new mask is a win-win scenario for everyone. And just a disclaimer, I don't think that I was the cause of this change. I doubt that Riot would be able to do this in a single day, especially just deciding on that change. So I appreciate everyone saying they listened to me, but I doubt it was actually me. I believe there was more people who didn't like the old mask. When it comes to skins on PBE, of course Pike has one to follow up on his release. Sand Wraith Pike is a great skin for anyone in love with Shurima, Assassin's Creed, or even the Power Rangers, because Pike is also getting 7 chroma skins for that skin. And he's not the only one this patch. Since the Bilgewater event is coming, we also got 2 new Bilgewater skins on top of that. Dark Waters Diana and Dark Waters Vladimir. And both of them get 5 chroma skins as well. The same event will also bring in the Ripper Ward, obviously based around Pike. 6 new emotes, including a Pike emote that has already been changed because of the new mask. And all of that is being rounded up by new Bilgewater themed loot items. Cursed capsules that get you 3 skin shards, increased chance for gemstones, and a chance to drop Blood Harbor Medallion or Golden Kraken. Blood Harbor Medallion gets you 1 Bilgewater themed skin shard and 1 random skin shard. And Golden Kraken gets you 1 skin shard and 1 legendary permanent skin. and bonus loot from the Blood Harbor medallion. This is basically the new rare form of a birdie bag, only now it is a guaranteed legendary skin. So birdie bag is probably still better. The last gameplay update on PBE worth mentioning are the new items. If you're interested in the new limited Bilgewater themed items, go and watch our previous video where we talked about them in detail. But there is one more item that joined PBE on top of all the other items that we mentioned in the last episode of news. Atma's Impaler is back, only now it is called Atma's Reckoning. It gives different stats but essentially does the same thing. It turns tanks into carries. If you remember Kayle looking like this, Jenna being this, and let's not talk about that, you may also remember the original Atma's Impaler, an item that gave you armor, critical strike and bonus attack damage equal to 1.5% of your health. This was an insanely weird item that used to work amazingly on only a couple of champions. Tank Plank was unstoppable because of the critical strike, and on-release Jarvan dominated everything. Also remember that it was built from Avarice Blade, an item that gave you critical strike and generated gold over time. And that is why it worked so well on Gangplank and it was so weird on tanks, which is who the item was originally for. The item gave you armor, which is useful, it gave you damage based on your health, which is amazing, but why would it give a tank critical strike? It was just an awkward stat to have on a tank that led to a lot of RNG. Some of you may also remember Atma's Impaler being the left hand of something known as the Meta Golem. A build that worked on any champion, in any role, no matter what you did. Anyway, we're going off topic. So, Atma's Reckoning does something very similar. It gives tanks damage to be more dangerous. It gives attack damage, armor, magic resistance, and on top of that, for each second in combat with enemy champions, turrets or epic monsters, it gives you attack damage equal to 0.5% of your health, all the way up to 2.5%. And Vendro already managed to abuse it as well. So let's see if the legacy of the infamous Meta Golem goes on. Outside of all of this, when the Bilgewater event arrives, Riot confirmed that the old Butcher's Bridge is coming back fleshed out and better than ever. We did a long video on this new bridge last time, so again, feel free to give it a peek if you're interested. When it comes to live servers, the B emotes are up, Swain's Dragon Master Chromas got released, the 3 new Pulsefire skins took everyone by storm, and Clash arrived as well. This means that you can get competitive every other week. It seems to be alternating between EU and NA right now. So this week is EU Clash, and starting on the 25th it is time for the NA Clash. There is a really well edited video that explains how Clash works in its entirety, and if you go through the tutorial on Riot's official site you can get a free ticket. I am not sure if it is still up, but check your clients for the rainbow fluffed icon. An icon that gives you a rainbow spawn effect at least up until the end of this patch. Riot released it to celebrate the IDAHOTB, an international day against all the weird phobias against people you might have. I am specifically trying to avoid saying what kind of phobias it is, because I know that YouTube might tag the video just for that word. Now let's move on to Ask Riot, where Ghostcrawler and Meddler answered 3 new questions. And when it comes to these two, we can expect some detailed answers, so let's get on it. With the new ranked system for the next year, are you thinking of implementing a ranked system for ARAM too? It would be nice to have something to say like, look, this player is good at this mode. ARAM is a weird beast. If you imagine a game of Summoner's Rift or even Twisted Treeline, the hope is that your individual skill has a big impact on the outcome of the game. There are factors other than your skill at play, however, including things like the somewhat random effect of who you'll get as a teammate and how well you gel as a team. In ARAM, those other factors have a huge impact on your success rate because which champion you and the other players get can massively affect the outcome. This is the part of ARAM that some ARAM enthusiasts find really fun. You never know what's going to happen. Additionally, we spend far less effort balancing champions for ARAM than we do for Summoner's Rift. Part of this is just a question of focus. We view Summoner's Rift as the core League of Legends experience, and we spend most of our bandwidth on balancing it. But it is also an acknowledgement that in ARAM, whether you succeed or fail is often a lot more out of your control. So even achieving a high degree of game balance can only improve the game so much. For these 2 reasons, we worry that ranked ARAM just asks players to take ARAM more seriously, which could be a really frustrating experience. The urge to dodge might go through the roof, for example. All of that said, while we are focused a lot on improving the ranked experience this year, one of the questions we're exploring for the future is whether League needs to offer more of a sense of progression for players who don't play a lot of ranked. While leveling is uncapped now, and we have features like Champion Mastery, overall there isn't much a player who plays mostly normals, including ARAM, can choose to focus on. They don't really have a journey the way a ranked player can shoot for, ending the season with a higher rank. Maybe that's okay. Maybe normal players don't need and aren't looking for an endgame in the same way. But the requests we get for things like competitive ARAM, or look, this player is good at this mode, from the original question, maybe suggest that some people are. I recently taught my brother to play a little League, and I realized that new players have many difficulties by not having spells like Flash. Why don't you unlock all summoner spells from level 1? New players to League come with a lot of different experience levels, as you might imagine. Some have played MOBAs before, or at the very least have watched some League videos, or maybe even have a friend offering them pointers. Other new players might have literally never played a PC game before. It can be hard to appreciate just how basic the basic skills of this kind of player can be if you haven't witnessed it firsthand. For example, they can struggle to find their champion if they scroll the camera off screen. Expecting or prompting them to use summoner spells is asking an awful lot. They are doing well even if they use their QWER. The new tutorial we are working on emphasizes really elemental basics, like the fact that turrets exist and they hurt. You can also play a lot of low-level games of League, even PvP, without really needing to use summoner spells. You'll need to understand them eventually for sure, but we see new players not understand, not use, and not go back to summoners if we give them out too early. Why do you think reworking AD carries is necessary? AD carries do a lot of damage in the late game, but isn't that what they are designed for? We're making changes to marksmen and some of the items they use for a few reasons. We want to support a large variety of marksman playstyles. Right now, hyperscaling marksmen are generally very dominant. They are hard to set back seriously enough in lane, and their power spike kicks in fairly early, in about 2 items, for how strong their late game is. By contrast, lane bully marksmen, who should amongst other things be a natural counter to hypercarries, often aren't effective enough. We also believe some marksmen, crit users primarily, deal too much burst damage to squishy targets, especially in the mid game. That contributes to an arm race situation, where squishy on squishy combat usually can't involve spending any measurable amount of time in proximity to your opponent. Finally, we also want to reduce the early game power of marksmen who are strong late game by a bit. Some of that is a reflection of their late game strength, which should come with a trade-off of early game weakness. Some of it's also to help other champs lane against them, whether in bot lane or anywhere else on the map. And that is it for this episode of news. If you are still dealing with your finals, I feel for you, and no matter the outcome, you will feel at peace in the end. But if you have enjoyed this video, feel free to rate it and subscribe for more news and lore. Our social media, Twitch merch and P.O.Box will be in the description. And don't worry, if you actually send me something, I will open it live on our stream. Of course, massive shout out to our patrons for going the extra mile. You guys are magnificent. And with that, thank you all so much for being here and for your support. You know I really appreciate it. And as always, thank you come again.